This programme is brought to you by FedEx and Turkish Airlines, UEFA Champions League official sponsors.
The stage is set. Europe's biggest clubs. It's the competition they all want to be in.
Really is nothing quite like the Champions League.
Richarlison!
The goal machine remains in full working order. Sometimes you cannot believe your eyes. Simply sensational.
Juventus out of the Champions League.
Frustration for Celtic.
Barcelona are out.
The goalkeeper, and he scored! Leo, porta volta, Giroud rete! Oh, what about that? Real Madrid scored to silence Stamford Bridge. L'Inter vede Istanbul. Kevin De Bruyne! One of the biggest goals of the season. Rodri! Manchester City have done it! Champions of Europe, finally!
Hello there. Happy Champions League draw day, everybody. Last season gave us loads of happy memories on the way to Istanbul and City's treble. This time around, it's from the banks of the Bosphorus to the borough of Brent for the final, because Wembley Stadium is going to be hosting next summer. Very exciting news that is indeed. 32 teams are in the competition, some familiar, some not so much. Very shortly, we'll be crossing over to glamorous Monaco to find out who gets who. While here in the studio, we have Julian Lescott and Owen Hargreaves, both Champions League players, of course, and Julian Laurent, who knows all about everything in Europe. Fabulous. Looking forward to your hot takes on who comes out of the urn. This is such a huge day for supporters all across the continent. For the players involved, are they kind of sitting there waiting, who are we going to get?
Yeah, definitely. I think from every aspect, especially if you're looking from a point of view of Newcastle back in the competition, a lot of the first time for a lot of their players. So I remember when that was my situation. We were around the TV and waiting for the draw to happen.
Right, Owen, were you agog when you were playing back in early noughties?
No, I think when it's your first or second time around, you're super excited. As you kind of get used to it, you're more accustomed to it. I think Johnny makes a great point about Newcastle. You know, all of them, the supporters, the coaches, the players, they're probably all sat together, waiting to see who they draw. But the Champions League draw is a beautiful thing, just to see who you're going to play against. Maybe play against somebody you looked up to as an idol. Players who are already talking about who they're going to swap shirts with, probably.
Yeah.
If
just
we
look
play
at the
somebody.
spectacle, where it is.
Yeah.
Red carpet event. It's a very glamorous and prestigious situation to be in, especially for Newcastle.
It's the biggest adventure in club football, isn't it, the Champions League? And today, the first day of a new campaign, really. It's the last day, though, that we'll have a Champions League group stage draw, George, because it's the last season that we're going to have that format.
That's right. Then the Swiss model starts from next season with basically 2 mini divisions, if you want, or 2 groups, where you will play teams and the top 8 will qualify. It will be very different to the home and away ties that we see in the group stage, which I think the dynamic is going to be a bit different for the competition. Maybe you prepare slightly differently because it's a longer period where you can still qualify instead of just the 6 games that you have in a group stage like we know it now and like we've been known for many years. So it's a bit different and to adapt for managers and teams, but the draw will still be exciting, I think, even next season, because you will still hope to face the bigger teams if you're the smaller team, and for the bigger side, try to avoid a group of death or something like that.
All right, well, that's something to look forward to in 12 months' time. But for now, let's check out how this year's draw works. There's 32 teams involved. They're divided into 4 pots, depending on their seeding. Pot 1 has the champions of the domestic leagues. Within there, the Eredivisie winners from last season, Feyenoord, and also the Europa League winners, Sevilla. But you've got your heavyweights in there, your Barcelonas, your Napolis. Bayern, of course, Owen. Have they made many signings over the summer? We'll come on to them in a second or two. But Man City, the holders, Julian, at this point it's traditional to ask how your nerves are. What do you think about Man City's prospects of retaining?
I'm a lot more confident that Mbappe is not going to Real Madrid. I think I would have been a lot more nervous. But yeah, listen, it's so early in the competition. The draw hasn't even been made, so to predict a winner is a bit early for me.
OK, that's kind of what we're going to be doing before the draw actually gets made. Because I want to ask, Owen, you about Bayern Munich, winners in 2020. have maybe been a bit disappointed by their European form in the last couple of seasons, but the arrival of the big English centre-forward, what difference does that make for them?
I think it's everything. I mean, getting a centre-forward, obviously losing Lewandowski last season, they realised that was a huge hole within their team, and I think the team has pretty much everything else. The defence, goalkeeper, midfield, everything. You've got so many 4 or 5 wingers. They just need a centre-forward, and Harry Kane's one of the best of the best. So Thomas Tuchel got his way. I'm amazed he left Tottenham and they got him out of there. But Bayern have obviously got a really special one. And I think they'll be one of the favourites, obviously, with City and Real Madrid. Bayern, they must be the best 3 teams for sure. Yeah,
it's going to be really interesting to see who Bayern draw. A lot of clubs won't want to get them and Harry Kane, Man United, Arsenal as well. He's got such a terrific record against Arsenal. So let's have a quick look at Pot 2, which has Man United and Arsenal in there, as well as Real Madrid. So there's some dangerous sides in there, Jules.
Yeah, they are. And to be fair, we are quite used to have groups with 2 top clubs, and then let's see who you find who you get in Pot 3 and Pot 4. But in those 2, of course, if you're Man City, if you can avoid Real Madrid, of course, or if you Bayern Munich, Napoli, I mean, 2 clubs from the same country can't face each other, obviously, in the group stages, so you won't have a Barca and Real Madrid in the same group. But for all the big clubs that we saw in Pot 1, obviously Real Madrid, I think, are the ones to avoid in that Pot 2. I guess Inter, the finalists from last season against City, also maybe to avoid. And then if you want a good draw, I guess Porto and the Dortmund side that started very slowly in the Bundesliga are probably the best 2 to find in that Pot 2.
Atletico Madrid had a rotten time of it in the Champions League last time around, but have started like an absolute house on fire this season in La Liga. Pot 3 includes the last season's semi-finalists AC Milan, along with the likes of PSV. And it's an interesting Pot 3 because you think these are the weaker teams. But Inter were in Pot 3 last year, made it all the way to the final. So potentially you could have some dark horses in there. Who catches your eye as we look down the list of the 8 teams from Pot 3? I
mean, Milan really are the team to avoid. But you mentioned Inter. They were still in the group of death with Barcelona and Bayern. So Pot 3 usually... you will face 2 top clubs from Pot 1 and Pot 2. But if you avoid Milan there... And I guess maybe a team like Lazio, although Lazio have been quite poor so far this season, that's probably the 2 top clubs in that Pot 3.
OK. Quick check then on to Pot 4, because there are some interesting names in there, including Newcastle. You already mentioned, Jolie, and that's going to be... They're going to be a real force, not least for the home games and the atmosphere there.
Yeah, definitely. And looking at that group, you'd probably say the names and the kind of atmospheres that predicts that's probably stronger than Pot 3.
Pot 4 looks tough, actually. Definitely. Union Berlin as well, their first time in the Champions League. Owen, what are they going to be like?
Yeah, an amazing story. I mean, the way they've grown over the last few years has just been remarkable. But you think about it in there with Celtic and with Newcastle. A few new teams, obviously, Union Berlin, but just can't wait to see Newcastle in the Champions League.
It's a lot of hostile atmospheres in there. Even Lens is hostile to go there. So
as well,
they won't be easy for any team in that pot.
All right. Well, it's not long now until the draw begins. Let's get across to Monaco, where our reporter Emma Dodds is with Joe Cole.
Thanks, James. Yes, it's amazing who you meet over here in Monaco. Joe, you're here and you're on a bit of a special mission. You're doing the draw behind us later on. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling quite nervous, actually. There's a lot going on. I know it does seem very easy when you're sitting in Owen or Jolien's seat, but there's a little bit going on, so let's hope it goes well.
5 British teams in that draw. Are Manchester City still the team to beat?
Without doubt, Manchester City. You know, I don't feel they're as strong yet as they was last year. Come 6 months down the line, things may be different. A lot of turnovers, but Man City are in that group, I think, with Real Madrid and Bayern Munich. The other English clubs will have a chance, but they're just so good at the moment.
You mentioned the other English clubs, Arsenal and Manchester United in Pot 2, which is a difficult pot, to be fair. What do you think they will be hoping to achieve in this competition?
Well, they'll be hoping to win it, that's for sure. You know, they've all got world-class players, top players. For me, it'd be interesting how this Arsenal squad adjusts to the European football, because last year in the Europa League they really played 2 different teams a lot of the times and they managed to rest. You can't do that in the Champions League. It puts more strain on these young players, but I'm really impressed with what Mikel's done there, so I'll be more inclined to say I think Arsenal will be in a stronger position than Manchester United.
And in Pot 4, Celtic and Newcastle, those are 2 teams that anyone else in this draw will be hoping to avoid.
Yeah, Celtic, wherever they are, however they're playing the form, You know, when the big European nights come at Celtic Park, they raise themselves. The stadium and the fans raise them, and it's a match for anyone. Newcastle will be the one that everyone in this room will be trying to avoid in pot 4, you know, because you want teams that you think you can get points of. It's like same with St James's Park. I imagine that place will be rocking on Tuesdays and Wednesday nights.
And there's no Messi, there's no Neymar in the competition.
Yeah.
Are we now seeing a changing of the guard?
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, it's happened all of a sudden 2 years ago. You wouldn't have known it was here, but it's here. No Messi, no Ronaldo, no Neymar. You know, who's going to be the players to step up? Mbappe, Haaland again. You know, Phil Foden, some of our lads, you know, Saka, you know, who's going to be Harry Kane at Bayern Munich? There's so many great players. Someone's going to have to step into that shoes.
Yeah, they certainly are, and it's exciting for us. Well, Joe, we'll let you go. Good luck with the draw. Hope it goes well. A lot of anticipation building here. It's fast approaching.
Many thanks, Emma. We'll hear more from you very, very shortly. But right now we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be going live to all the grimaces and rueful chuckles live from the Grimaldi Forum in Monaco as we find out who gets who in this season's Champions League. Stay with us. We'll see you in a couple of minutes' time. Welcome back, everybody, to the Champions League group stage draw, coming to you live very shortly from Monaco. 6 teams booked their place among the 32 this midweek. Live, of course, on TNT Sports, Jules. We saw PSV putting out Rangers and looking pretty impressive in the process. But another side who made it through were Royal Antwerp, at this level of competition for the first time in 66 years. What do you know about them? Well,
the last time they played in the European Cup at the time, Alfredo Di Stefano played against them and scored for Real Madrid against them. That was that long ago.
They have one game, it was against Real Madrid, and they got beaten 8-1.
That's it, yeah.
One tie, I should
but
say.
It's a great story because, like you said, they won the league for the first time in 66 years. Toby Alderweireld, the former Tottenham defender, is there. Vincent Janssen as well, another former Spurs player. Not remembered
really
the same
well.
He's doing amazing. Yeah. They are all doing amazing. And they really took the league by storm last season. They beat AEK Athens to qualify. So let's see who they get in the draw. They put 4, so they, I think, expect a tough draw.
Right.
But for them, it's an incredible story.
OK, you've got all the heavyweights, but sometimes it's the little sides that we're not so used to seeing at this level of competition. Shouldn't call them little, but the less fancied sides who can provide so much of the interest. Very good. Oh, well, look, the red carpet is in full force there at the Grimaldi Forum, and everybody's getting set to get the draw underway. So let's hand across then to our hosts for the draw. They are Pedro Pinto and Reshmin Chowdhury.
Hello there, welcome to the Grimaldi Forum. I'm Reshmin, this is Pedro, and we are absolutely delighted to be back in Monaco for the UEFA Champions League group stage draw and award ceremony.
We are indeed. We're here on the red carpet where some of the biggest stars in European football have been greeted by their fans as they make their way into the arena.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, this is the hottest ticket in town.
Yep.
So many big faces from the world of football, but what everyone wants to really know is who is playing who in the group stages next season.
They do. They'll also want to find out who will be crowned the UEFA Women's and Men's Player of the Year.
Absolutely. So we will kick off our show in just a moment. Before we do, though, please welcome a couple of musicians who have composed something that is inspired by that world-famous UEFA Champions League anthem. Here they are, Bruce Liu and Asia Fatayeva. Oh, do I walk first? Yeah. Oh, I was first, yeah.
What a great original piece inspired by the UEFA Champions League anthem. And Reshman, this is an iconic tune. I mean, everybody knows it. Everybody loves it. The fans, the players.
And all of us as well. I mean, it's like a dream for players to play in the competition. It's a dream for us to work in the competition. And you hear the song and you just get goosebumps, don't you?
Especially at the stadiums. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us here at the Grimaldi Forum in Monaco. Great to see it packed for another massive occasion, which is the UEFA Champions League group stage draw and award ceremony.
It is indeed. We cannot wait to kick off a brand new season of UEFA Champions League football, the best club competition, bar none, on the planet. And we are delighted to be joined by representatives from the 32 clubs who have qualified for this year's group stage. There are some familiar faces, some returning faces, and also some UCL debutants as well. So a huge welcome to all of you.
Definitely. Also a special welcome to all the football icons past and present we have here. And of course to all the millions of football fans watching at their screens around the world.
Absolutely. Well, last season's UEFA Champions League was another historic one. Manchester City won the title for the very first time, becoming the 23rd different club to lift this famous trophy since the competition began.
Definitely, and let's take a look back at that captivating campaign, which culminated in a dramatic final between the Citizens and the Nerazzurri at the Ataturk Olympic Stadium in Istanbul. Sensational sights and sounds. Yeah, worth a clap. What a season. What a final. I'm here in the audience, delighted to be joined by Manchester City's Director of Football, Chiki Begiri-Stein. So many emotions on the faces of the players, of the coaching staff. Take us back to that night. What did it mean for you after so many years of fighting for this trophy, and to the club?
It was just amazing, to see how the players, they enjoyed that day. They struggle, of course. It was difficult to get there. We have been for many years, but it looks like it's a project consolidation. No? We had those semi-finals. We had the final at Porto. We were getting there, but finally we got it, and we are so proud and so happy.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Means a lot to the club, no doubt about that, and good luck for today's UEFA Champions League group stage draw as well. Reshman, back to you.
Thank you very much, Pedro. Yeah, congratulations to Manchester City. You may remember City's hero from that game was Rodri, who, as well as being named player of the final, was also the UEFA player of the season as well. That was a decision from UEFA's technical panel, who also selected Napoli's Kvaratskhelia as the UCL's young player of the season. So huge congratulations to both players on their individual awards.
Definitely.
Hello.
I'm back.
Pedro's back with me, which means it's time to turn our attention to this season. And the dream of every single club in tonight's draw will be to emulate City's achievements and win the UEFA Champions League. But only 2 teams can be in the hat to do that. Only 2 teams can reach the final, which this year will be held in my hometown. I'm a Londoner born and bred. It'll be at Wembley Stadium on the 1st of June, and I cannot wait.
I can't either, and I'm not even from London. It's a special stadium, and now it's our pleasure to welcome 2 special guests who know it very well. And it is our pleasure to welcome 2 players who had many memorable nights in the UEFA Champions League, Joe Cole and Eric Abidal.
Lovely to see you. Hello. Lovely to see you both.
Welcome, gentlemen. Fantastic to have you here. Wembley is the special place where the final will take place this season. A couple of questions for you before you help out with the draw as well. Starting with you, Eric. Of course, you won this trophy at Wembley in 2011. Take us back there. What did it mean to play the final, win the final, and to do it at one of the most iconic arenas on the planet?
So first of all, good afternoon. It was great memories for us as a club, as a team. Of course, very difficult to achieve. But Champions League is always special. Yeah. This stadium was amazing, the city amazing. I think it's the best place to host the Champions League final again.
Definitely.
Yeah, that's a good endorsement of Wembley. I mean, Joe, you've played there so many times for club and country, and it is that iconic venue. It's the home of English football. There's a reason why it has the X factor, and you're here to tell us what it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's very romantic, especially for English players. You know, I remember I played at the old Wembley as well, and I used to live not far from it and used to sneak in when I didn't have my ticket. So I'm
really?
Yes, and I'm very, very.
We'll let you off.
Yeah, very excited to welcome the whole of Europe to Wembley.
Yeah, absolutely, as we all are. Thank you, guys. Lovely to have you here. Are you ready for the draw? Nerves of steel? You know this is a big job.
It's a big job, yeah. I mean, it's a privilege to be working here with UEFA, and like I said, I just want favourable draws for all the English teams, and I'll be happy.
And all the other teams as well, obviously. Good luck, guys. I will let you take your place at the draw table.
Yeah, please do. We're almost ready to start with the draw, but of course we need a couple of gentlemen who are very experienced in these matters. They'll be leading the technical procedures especially, and that is, of course, UEFA Deputy General Secretary Giorgio Marchetti and Tobias Hedstuck, the UEFA Head of Club Competitions. Good evening, gentlemen. Great to have you here at the Grimaldi Forum in Monaco. Giorgio, I hand over the floor to you.
Thank you very much, Pedro, and good evening to all of you, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of UEFA, it is my great pleasure to welcome you to this much-anticipated UEFA Champions League group stage draw, which sees us back in Monaco for the first time since 2019 to kick off a new European season. In just a few moments, we will shape the 8 groups that the 32 best clubs in Europe will have to battle through, the matchups that will set our hearts racing, and the stories that will be written in the new chapter of this great competition. We will witness, as usual, the clash of titans, the emergence of underdogs, and the beauty of the game in its purest form. Although they have bespoke histories and traditions, stepping onto this stage, all 32 clubs and their players will share the same dream of engraving their name into the Wall of Fame as champions of Europe at the majestic Wembley Stadium on 1st of June 2024. As you know, this is a special season as it will drop the curtain on the glorious era of the current format, which has brought us so many unforgettable moments for 25 years, elevating the competition to the pinnacle of club football. And when we will reopen next year, a new exciting adventure will be waiting to delight and exciting even more football fans worldwide. As usual, warm welcome to all participating clubs and a special welcome to Union Berlin and Royal Antwerp, who are experiencing the UEFA Champions League for the very first time in their history. We wish all clubs and everyone here, of course, tonight, the very best of luck this season. We are ready for the draw, but first let's take a little moment for the technical procedure.
The 32 teams have been allocated to 4 pots in accordance with the following principles. Pot 1 will comprise the UEFA Champions League title holder, Manchester City, and the UEFA Europa League title holder, Sevilla FC, as well as the domestic champions of Spain, Italy, Germany, France, Portugal and Netherlands. The remaining 24 teams have been split into 3 pots based on their position in the UEFA Club Coefficient rankings. Clubs from the same country cannot be drawn in the same group. Because the same number of UEFA Champions League matches are played on both Tuesdays and Wednesdays, the groups are divided into 2 colours, red for groups A to D and blue for groups E to H. The red groups will play on one match night and the blue groups will play on the other. This will apply on all match days. For TV coverage reasons, every 2 teams from one country are paired in order to be split into the red and blue groups. The teams of Pot 1 will be drawn first. A ball will be drawn at random and opened to display the name. The team drawn is placed in the first available group in alphabetical order from A to H, as indicated by the computer and in accordance with the established principles. For example, if the team drawn has all 8 options from A to H available, it will be automatically allocated to Group A. If the team drawn has 4 options available, from E to H for example, it will be automatically allocated to Group E, and so on. This procedure will be repeated until all the teams in Pot 1 have been allocated to the 8 groups. For Pot 2, a ball will be drawn at random and opened to display the name. The computer will then show which groups are available for this club in accordance with the established principles such as country protection and TV pairings. A draw will then be made to determine which of these available groups the club is assigned to. It must be noted that the number of options available to a team depends not only on the team's own attributes and those of the teams already drawn, but also on the attributes of the other teams still to be drawn. This is due to the computer calculations needed to anticipate all possible scenarios and to prevent any deadlock situation. Once the 8 teams from Pot 2 have each been allocated to a group, the same procedure will apply for Pots 3 and 4 to complete all the groups. Once the draw procedure has been completed, a computer draw will determine the final positions of the teams within the 8 groups, as the position in the group determines the match schedule. The match calendar will be released on Saturday morning at the latest.
So now we know how it all works. Let's take a look at the teams in Pot 1. So this pot features all the top-seeded teams. So as you would expect, some real powerhouses of European football, like the holders Manchester City, Serie A winners Napoli, and UEFA Europa League winners Sevilla, who are one of 5 Spanish teams in today's draw. I can't wait for it to get started. We're all waiting. Giorgio, we're ready. Over to you.
Yes, nobody can wait, Pedro, so there is no time to waste. I will quickly shuffle the balls, and then it will not be me, but of course the capable hands of our legend, Joe Cole, will tell us which of these 8 clubs will top each of the groups. So, Joe, it's in your hands. So we go with the first team, the first group.
Bayern Munich.
So we start with Bayern Munich. And of course, Bayern, the first team drawn, we will allocate in alphabetical order the teams from pot 1. So they go into group A. So one team is allocated, Bayern. Yes, Joe, please. The 6-time winners and unbeaten in a record streak of 34 group stage matches. So let's see if someone will manage to beat them in this group stage.
Sevilla.
And we continue with Sevilla, the winners of the UEFA Europa League last year. Sevilla can go into Group B, the second group. Yes, the best result of Sevilla was in 2058 and 2018, where they reached the quarterfinals. Now it's the 4th successive season where we can see Sevilla. The next club is ready.
Napoli.
And the next club is Napoli. They go to Group C, the champions of Serie A, winners of the tournament after a fantastic run last year, not only in Serie A, but also the Champions League. They did very well. Excellent performance up to the quarterfinals and scoring the top number of goals in group stage, 20 goals.
Benfica.
Now the Portuguese champions, Benfica. Group D can, of course, accommodate Benfica. We're ready to see the next one. They won 2 titles in their history, 61 and 62. And they participated 43 times in this competition. They are only second.
Feyenoord.
So the Dutch champions this time. Group E is the group of Feyenoord. Winners also of 1 title back in 1970. Actually, the first Dutch club having won this trophy.
Paris Saint-Germain.
And we have now Paris Saint-Germain, champions of France, Group F for the finalists of 2020. 12 successive seasons in the UEFA Champions League group stage, where they scored at least 1 goal in the last 44 matches in group stage.
Manchester City.
And here they are, the title holders of Manchester City. Group G is the group of City. Title holders, unbeaten last season, with the top scorer of the tournament, Erling Haaland. So let's see who will challenge. We will see later who will challenge Manchester City now. But first we have to complete the last group.
Barcelona.
And we go with the FC Barcelona, Group H for Barcelona, which means that that's all for pot 1.
Thank you, Georgia. Thank you, gentlemen. We now have our first teams in their groups, so let's take a look at the clubs in pot 2. Oh, it all looks so good, doesn't it, already? And they haven't even been drawn yet. 8 more teams set to discover their fate, including record Champions League winners Real Madrid, last year's finalists Inter, and Premier League side Arsenal, who returned to the competition after a 6-year absence. So let's find out who they'll be facing. Back to you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Rajmin. So now the responsibility becomes very obvious. Joe, you'll start putting teams against other teams. So let's see what you will deliver for this group stage. Pot number 2, 8 big clubs and 8 groups where we start competition, see the competition take shape.
Borussia Dortmund.
So the first team of pot 2 is Borussia Dortmund. And for Borussia Dortmund, we have 4 possible options, all blue groups from E to H. Now we're preparing the balls for this draw. Borussia were winners of the title in 1997, appearing in the UEFA Champions League group stage 12 times out of the last 13 seasons. Now we will see from the hands of Eric where Borussia Dortmund will play this season.
Group F.
Group F. And in Group F, Borussia Dortmund will find Paris Saint-Germain. So the first clash of titans, yes please Joe, is ready for us. We have a second team ready to come out. And that is
Arsenal.
Arsenal. After a few years of absence, Arsenal are back to the stage. We can allocate Arsenal to 6 groups. It's A, B, C, D, E, and H. So everything is possible for these groups, except of course the group where we have Manchester City. So Arsenal were finalists in 2006. It was a great season for them, where they created the record for the most successive Champions League clean sheets, 10 in the same season, still unbeaten.
Group B.
B. So Arsenal is coming back in Group B, and they will face Sevilla FC. We can go ahead. Yes, please. Go ahead with the third team for another group.
Atletico Madrid.
Club Atlético de Madrid. Let's see. Atletico de Madrid can play in 2 of the groups, Group E or Group G. The 3 times finalists of the UEFA Champions League and the European Champions Cup, of course. Last time it was in 2016. But for 11 successive years now they've been appearing in Champions League.
Group E.
Group E for Atletico de Madrid, where they will find the Dutch champions of Feyenoord. We go ahead. Another one. Let's see who's coming up.
Manchester United.
Manchester United. We have 3 possibilities for Manchester United, Group A, Group C or Group D. United have appeared 25 times in the UEFA Champions League group stage. It's the English record, and played 238 matches there. Only 3 clubs have more than Manchester United.
Group A.
So Manchester United joins Bayern Munich in Group A. We're ready? We can go ahead. Another one. Another exciting clash ready to be shown.
RB Leipzig.
Leipzig. RB Leipzig can be drawn into the 4 remaining groups. Groups C, D, G or H. At the 5th successive appearance, Leipzig. Best result of this club was the semi-final in 2020. What we call the special COVID edition. We played the last stages in a tournament in Portugal.
Group G.
The group of Leipzig is Group G. Leipzig will find again, that's not a new clash, Leipzig will find again Manchester City in Group G, title holders versus RB Leipzig. There's still 3 clubs which need to be drawn. And one is
Inter Milan.
Inter Milano. So for Inter, we don't have any alternative. Inter can only be allocated to Group D. So the finalists of last year, 3 times winners of the UEFA Champions League. Inter did quite well last year in this competition with 5 clean sheets in 7 Champions League knockout matches.
FC Porto.
FC Porto. FC Porto is also automatically allocated to a group, no options, no alternative options possible. The group is H. So Porto is joining FC Barcelona in Group H at their 27th participation in the UEFA Champions League group stage. They are joint 3rd, all-time 3rd, together with Bayern.
Real Madrid.
And now, of course, Real Madrid, and for Real Madrid we have Group C, and in Group C Real Madrid will find Napoli. That's all for pot number 2.
So another 8 teams drawn, some huge mouthfuls.
Oh, yes.
And clashes. Pedro and I have been looking at this, haven't we?
Yeah.
Munich, Manchester, Napoli, Real Madrid, Sevilla, Arsenal as well. It's looking very, very good indeed.
Yeah, and we're only halfway through. So let's take a look at the teams in pot 3 now, as they'll be discovering their Champions League fate. All right, 8 more teams discovering who will they be playing in this season's UEFA Champions League group stage. And this pot includes the likes of Ukrainian champions Shakhtar Donetsk and 1991 winners Crvena Zvezda, Red Star Belgrade. Giorgio, over to you.
Yes, and the excitement is mounting as we see more now of how the teams will play this new season. Joe, you can start with one team. First of pot number 3.
Shakhtar Donetsk.
And the team is the champions of Ukraine, Shakhtar Donetsk. We can allocate Shakhtar Donetsk to any of the 8 groups. We don't need to put any condition. So they can be allocated anywhere at this stage. Quarterfinalists of 2011 and 13 participations in the last 14 seasons, which shows the Shakhtar Donetsk is an established partner of this competition. And in a few seconds we will see in which group Shakhtar Donetsk will feature.
Group H.
Group H means that Shakhtar Donetsk will take a challenge to Barcelona and FC Porto. Another team, please, Joe.
Red Star Belgrade.
So, Crvena Zvezda, I think you went the shortcut, Joe. Yeah. But you have to do the job. Crvena Zvezda is the name of this glorious club from Belgrade, winners in 91, and also for Red Star or Crvena Zvezda, we don't have any conditions. So 7 groups are available from A to G. Winners of the edition 1991, so when they lifted the trophy, and they are back after the season 1920 here. It's the first Serbian club to qualify directly to the group stage without going through qualifications in summer.
Group G.
Group G. So Crvena Zvezda will face in Group G Manchester City and RB Leipzig. So next one.
PSV Eindhoven.
PSV Eindhoven. They can be allocated to 4 of the remaining groups, groups A, B, C, D. Eindhoven, they were winners in 1988. Now they coming straight from the hard-fought playoff with Rangers. And for PSV Eindhoven, this is the group.
Group B.
B. And B means that the other teams with facing Eindhoven for the time being are Sevilla and Arsenal. So, fifth, another team from pot number 3 for another group.
AC Milan.
Milan. So Milan, 7-time winners. They have 2 options. Milan, Group E or Group F. Semi-finalists of last season. So Group E or Group F for Milan. Let's see which one of the 2.
Group F.
Group F, and in Group F, Milan will find Paris Saint-Germain and Borussia Dortmund. We have gone through 4 of the teams of this pot number 3. We're ready to see how the other 4 teams will complete the remaining groups. Still big challenges ahead of us.
FC Salzburg.
So from Austria, the champions of Austria, Salzburg, 3 groups are possible for Salzburg, A, C and D. Salzburg made the round of 16 2 seasons ago, in 2022. Now they are at their 5th consecutive participation. And interestingly, they never lost the opening game.
Group D.
Group D. Group D is the group of Salzburg, together with Benfica and Internazionale Milano. 3 teams. Let's go one less. And the one less is the following one.
SS Lazio.
Lazio. For Lazio, we don't have many options, only one. The option is Group E. So we have to put Lazio in Group E, where they find Feyenoord and Atletico Madrid. Good, we can go ahead. Let's see Lazio playing in this group. The last time in Champions League they were unbeaten in group phase. It was 2021.
FC Copenhagen.
And now Copenhagen also straight on the playoff matches played against Rakov Czestochowa. Copenhagen are the champions of Denmark, and they have 2 options that are currently being drawn by Erika Vidal, Group A or Group C. Only Danish clubs having reached the knockout stage in the past. Copenhagen, and they go to A, together with Bayern and with Manchester United. So only one is left, I think everybody knows, and there is one group which is ready to receive this club. So we go now with
SC Braga.
SC Braga from Portugal. The last group is Group C, so we allocate Braga to Group C together with Napoli and Real Madrid.
Thank you. 24 teams down, 8 to go. And Reshman, you pointed out a couple of groups after the second pot. I'm going to point out a couple as well. Sevilla, Arsenal, PSV Eindhoven, Benfica, Internazionale Salzburg, and of course PSG, Borussia Dortmund, and AC Milan. Just a few of the fantastic pools that we're looking at for now.
It's so exciting, this stage, isn't it? It's just getting hotter and hotter, all of the groups, but there are still 8 more teams wanting to find out who they will be playing. So let's take a look at the clubs in the 4th and final pot. Yeah, really interesting pot, isn't it? The 8 teams in pot 4, they include Champions League debutants Union Berlin and Royal Antwerp, as well as the 1967 winners and Scottish champions, of course, Celtic. It is time now then to conclude the draw. Let's see who they get. Gentlemen, back to you.
Yes, and for the last time, we shuffle the balls. And this draw will tell us all about the UEFA Champions League 23-24 group stage. Joe, up to you. First team to complete a group.
Real Sociedad.
That's Real Sociedad. Spain. So Real Sociedad has 4 possible groups. Group A, Group D, F or G. Real Sociedad, who made the semi-final back in 1983 and appeared the last time in Champions League group stage in 2013-2014.
Group D.
So the group of Real Sociedad is D. First group to be completed with Benfica, Internazionale, Salzburg and Real Sociedad. Joe? Second group to be completed.
Newcastle United.
Newcastle United FC. We have 3 possible groups for Newcastle, E, F or H. At the second group stage appearance, 21 years ago was the last time the Newcastle competed in the UEFA Champions League, season 2002-2003. Now, let's see where they will go.
Group F.
Group F, which looks like a real iron group: Paris Saint-Germain, Borussia Dortmund, AC Milan and Newcastle United. So we have another team for another group.
Galatasaray.
Now it's the turn of the Turkish champions of Galatasaray. We can draw Galatasaray in any of the 6 remaining groups, A, B, C, E, G or H. Galatasaray is the only Turkish club having won a UEFA club competition. They did it with the UEFA Cup and the Super Cup in 2000. Last time in group stage of Champions League it was 2019-2020.
Group A.
Group A is the group of Galatasaray together with the Bayern, with Manchester United and FC Copenhagen. We can go to the next one. Next team.
Union Berlin.
FC Union Berlin. First time in Champions League for Union Berlin. 2 groups for the club from the German capital. Group B or Group C. And they become the 15th German club to appear in the Champions League. Germany has more than any other nations.
Group C.
C. Napoli, Real Madrid, Sporting Club Braga and Union Berlin. Another one, we are halfway through, pot number 4, so very close to the end, very close to know everything.
Young Boys.
Young Boys, basically Young Boys, Swiss champions, Group E, Group G or Group H are possible for Young Boys, who made the semi-final back in 1959. But in the last 3 seasons, they've been here 2 times. It was the group of Young Boys.
Group G.
Group G for IB, Manchester City, Leipzig, Crvena Zvezda and Young Boys. So also this group is now complete. 3 teams to go.
Lens.
RC Lens. Lens. And for Lens we don't have alternatives. Only Group B is possible for Lens, together with Sevilla, Arsenal and PSV Eindhoven. Only 2 teams. Joe, please. Tell us which is the first one. Group E and Group H are waiting for the full lineup.
Celtic.
So, first is Celtic. It's indifferent, Group E or Group H, so we have to draw for the Scottish champions, winners of the 1967 final in Lisbon, and the only Scottish club having won this trophy. Celtic will join
Group E.
Group E, together with Feyenoord, with Atletico Madrid, and with SS Lazio. So only one ball, last name, and we will make sure that everything has been done correctly. And the last name is
Royal Antwerp.
the name of a debutant in group stage, Royal Antwerp FC, champions of Belgium. They join Group H, where they find Barcelona, FC Porto, and FC Shakhtar Donetsk. And this is all for the group stage of this season's UEFA Champions League.
It is indeed. The 32 clubs have been drawn. A lot of excitement throughout. I could hear the reactions here in the room, I'm sure on social media as well. Football fans around the world sharing the groups, sharing already some of the anticipation for these great games. Let's take a look at the group stage, then go through them in alphabetical order. Starting with Group A, we'll have Bayern Munich, Manchester United, Copenhagen, and Galatasaray. In B, it's Sevilla, Arsenal, PSV Eindhoven, and Lens. In Group C, we have Napoli, Real Madrid, Sporting Club Braga, and Union Berlin. And in D, it's Benfica, Internazionale Milano, Salzburg, and Real Sociedad.
Yeah, in Group E, it's Feyenoord, Club Atletico de Madrid, Lazio and Celtic. If you're a travelling fan, you're really going to enjoy yourself in Group F because there are some iconic arenas in that one, aren't there? Paris Saint-Germain, Borussia Dortmund, AC Milan and Newcastle United. Group G, it's Manchester City, the champions, Leipzig, Crvena Zvezda and Young Boys. And in Group H, it's Barcelona, Porto, Shakhtar Donetsk and Royal Antwerp.
There you have it.
What a debut for them.
Yeah, that's the lineup. Of course, we'd love to thank our special guests, Eric Abidal and Joe Cole, for your skillful handling of proceedings, and, of course, Giorgio Marchetti and Tobias Hedgestuk as well. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Well, that was fun. Brilliant work, as ever, from Giorgio Marchetti and the boys and girls there at the Grimaldi Forum in Monaco. And that's what's come out of the various hats. Group A already looks like an absolute sizzler with all sorts of storylines. Bayern Munich taking on Man United. Man United with Galatasaray again in a group. Group B, Arsenal will be up against Sevilla, PSV and Lens. So narrowly pipped to the French title last season, but faring a little less successfully so far this campaign. In Group C, my word, what a line-up there. Napoli and Real Madrid with Braga and New Boys Union Berlin. And Group D, last year's beaten finalists Inter joining Benfica, Salzburg and Real Sociedad. Group E sees Feyenoord, Atletico Madrid, Lazio and Celtic. Group F, potentially the toughest of the lot, with Paris Saint-Germain, Dortmund, a Tuchel reunion there, Milan and Newcastle on their return to this competition. Man City with a perhaps slightly easier time of it against Leipzig, who they always seem to face, and two teams that they've never met before in this competition, Red Star Belgrade and Young Boys. In Group H, Barcelona, Porto, Shakhtar Donetsk and Antwerp. My word. All right, we're going to pick out some of the key headlines from that. Owen, let's begin with Bayern and Man United together again.
Yeah, brilliant. I mean, obviously, I think initially when you saw Bayern come out and then Man United, I think you already thought group of death. But I think in the end, obviously, Copenhagen, Galatasaray,
right.
Bayern and Man United be obviously the two big favourites. But it'll be fascinating to see Harry Kane back in the UK.
Harry Kane, the player they could have had.
I'm sure they would have loved to have had him. It probably cost a little bit too much. But look, I think United got a good team, but I think Bayern are going to be one of the favourites in this Champions League. But a really good draw.
OK. There was even a suggestion that Thomas Tuchel at Bayern might want to bring Scott McTominay in from Man United. That would have been another interesting reunion if that doesn't go through in the next few hours before the transfer window closes. But it's an interesting approach that Tuchel is having. He's kind of in charge of the transfers at the moment before the arrival of a new sporting director in Munich. And there's a lot of names that we weren't expecting to see linked with the side.
Well, obviously, with Hasan Salihamidzic, sport director, leaving, and Oliver Kahn, I think there's a little bit of a void there, and I think he's probably using that to his strength with his experience, obviously, with the Premier League. There's certain players that he's probably quite keen on, which I can understand. But he's got a bit of power there right now, and to be fair, he's got a great team. I think he's a brilliant tactician, so I think they got a really good blend, and Harry Kane is the icing on the cake.
Absolutely. Bayern Munich with Man United, Copenhagen, who didn't exactly light up the competition in the group stage last year, but Galatasaray, that's going to be an interesting one as well, Jolie, and a lot of historical echoes for that as well.
Yeah, definitely. Tough place to play, atmosphere-wise, but obviously they made a few important signings and obviously optimism there. Zaha, especially one of the names. Mertens has scored a great goal early in the season, so yeah, I don't think that's an easy group or easy place to play, especially for the way Man United are playing at the moment.
Yeah, it's an interesting point because Man United are a huge name, and the game against Bayern in '99, one of the matches that's kind of carved their legend in this competition. But what do you think the perception is of them among other European sides, Jules? Will those other clubs be quite happy to draw this Man United?
Well, I think we saw last season that they were still a long way off the top teams in Europe, and the way they were. The way they went last season, not in the Champions League, for example, was probably disappointment. However, they have signed big players this summer in Onana, Højlund and Mason Mount. They spend a lot of money. There might be more to come between now and Friday. And I think they will qualify with Bayern. I mean, it would be a huge shock if United didn't make out of this squad, even with Galatasaray away, which is a tough trip, Copenhagen. We saw them with City last season in Dortmund. So, for me, United and Bayern are by far the two favourites and should go through.
OK. You thought maybe that was going to be the toughest group when those two teams came out, first of all, for Group A. But Group F has probably stolen that title, would you say, Owen?
Yeah.
Group F, Group of Death?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, we were joking with Julian there. He said you're not favourites in that group anymore after Dortmund was drawn, because I think it's going to be a tricky season for PSG. It's nice to see they're going to go with a lot of these talented young French players, but that feels like an incredibly even group. And I think if you're Newcastle, obviously it's a difficult draw, but Newcastle under Eddie Howe, I think they can fancy themselves to go anywhere and get a result. And obviously at home,
right,
that's one of the best atmospheres in football. I think they're going to be right up for this.
It's going to be interesting for Sandro Tonali, assuming he's fit and selected, of course, but taking on the club which he was a boyhood fan of.
Yeah, obviously documented that he didn't want to leave, and I'm sure he's looking forward to going back and probably wanted to avoid them in his competition. But like Owen said, that is a level group. I think all them teams will believe they'll qualify, and it's an exciting games in that group for me.
Jules, there's PSG in it and everyone's calling it a level group. What do you think?
I know, I'm not happy. I mean, I have to say to people, when we were watching the draw, every time there was a big name, they were saying, oh, it's the PSG group, they're going to draw in PSG. Here we have. So, I don't know, maybe it's good to start with tough games instead of having an easy group stage, and then you get to the knockout stages and you face bigger teams. And I don't know, it'd be fascinating. There's so many new stories. The Newcastle ownership, obviously, the Saudis against the Qataris. That would be interesting as well. Milan and PSG have a long history of facing each other in Europe as well. And Dortmund faced PSG the season where PSG reached the final in 2020. So
absolutely,
it's not bad.
All right, loads of other questions about PSG. Of course, you've just seen two of the greatest players in the game depart, and yet you might be stronger. But we'll touch on that in a second or two, perhaps. Let's quickly have a look at Group B, where Arsenal will find themselves up against Sevilla, PSV, who we saw put out Rangers in fairly dramatic fashion just last night, and Lens. How does this group stack up for Arsenal? Is that quite a doable task?
I think they'll be confident that they'll top that group and go through. I'm confident in Arsenal winning that group, to be honest. There's not many challenges there. Again, variations in styles, atmospheres, but the way Arsenal have been playing over the last 12 months, you expect them to top it.
Sevilla, who were in pot one by virtue of winning the Europa League again, but off to a disastrous start this season in La Liga. They're bottom of the table. Lens as well, who came second in Ligue 1 last season. Jules, not off to a great start this time around. How much of a threat will they pose?
Oh, I think they will come good. They've signed some really interesting players. It's just at the start of the season, they had tough games, especially at PSG last weekend, for example. So they will get there. I'm more worried about Sevilla, who are losing top players, who really are not playing well at all. For Lens, the stats are good. PSV are a good team. They played Arsenal in the group stage of the Europa League last season, and Arsenal lost away in Eindhoven. So this is a good group. It's a good draw for Arsenal. They'll have to be careful, especially away from home, but they should qualify. I agree with Jordan.
OK, the holders Man City in Group G, just as they were last season, auspiciously enough. We'll talk about that more in a second or two, but right now we're going to be getting back to Monaco for the other part of today's business there at the Grimaldi Forum. It's UEFA's Player and Manager of the Year Awards. Over to Reshman.
Composed of national and club coaches whose teams participated in UEFA competitions, and that's together with a group of journalists selected by the European sports media.
Indeed, what a wonderful collection of nominees as well. We can see some of their pictures here on stage. And in a moment, we'll be revealing the winner for our Men's and Women's Player of the Year. But first up, it's the Coaches Awards. President, if you could please reveal who the winner is of the UEFA Men's Coach of the Year.
UEFA Men's Coach of the Year is Pep Guardiola.
Quite a special year for Pep Guardiola. Congratulations to him, the 2022-23 UEFA Men's Coach of the Year. Now, unfortunately, Pep couldn't be with us today. He's still recuperating from his recent surgery. Pep, we'll see you soon. We wish you all the best and a speedy recovery as well.
Indeed. Now, our next award is for the UEFA Women's Coach of the Year. President, if you could please reveal the name of the winner of this award.
The winner of the UEFA Women's Coach of the Year is Sarina Wiegman.
You know, there was so much applause in this arena that she almost joined us early. But you know what? We'll give her the applause she deserves at the right time. Please welcome our UEFA Women's Coach of the Year, Sarina Wiegman. Come and join us.
It's heavy. Be careful.
Thanks. Thank you very much.
Sarina, congratulations. You could feel a lot of love for you in this room, a lot of excitement for you winning this award. Now, we know you came up just short of the World Cup, but you did go into that tournament as European champion. Amazing run of results over the last 2 years, 2 major international finals in as many years. Tell us about this incredible run and how proud you are of this team.
Yeah, of course, I'm very proud of the team and the staff. And I think, it's very special what we've done. It's all about quality, players' quality, staff quality, and the FA who really supports us and gives us all the facilities to perform. And then it comes to connections and growth and clarity, I think.
It was fantastic seeing England progress in the World Cup. We saw you having to tinker with your team and the system and enforced substitutions because of injuries and things like that. It was just brilliant to see how the team grew in the competition. But you also made history this year with England winning the Finalissima. But your record as England manager is quite incredible. I've got here 39 matches, 30 wins, just 2 losses. What do you put that down to? What's sort of the special sort of formula that makes this all tick?
Well, I'm not really into the statistics. I'm just trying to become better every day with the team. And what I just said is quality of the team and being connected and have a great staff and facilities. And we're just trying to become better every day. And of course, there's a lot of work in that and how we want to play and how we want to train, how we want to treat each other and have an environment where everyone really can grow and then give clarity about roles and responsibilities. And that really works so far.
I did want to pick up on what you said now and the personal element of the inspiration that you've been to a lot of women around the world in your career. You played when you were small, you were a PE teacher, then you make it to a coach and then 2-time European champion. When you look back, do you realize the impact that you've had in women's football and what does that mean to you as well, looking at this journey?
Yeah, it means so much to me. The World Cup now every record was broken and I'm the lucky one who played the World Cup in '88 as a player. That was unofficial at that time. And I thought, wow, that would be really great if we can, if you could do that more. But as a player, I never did. And now I was at the World Cup with England. And the growth of the game, the things that have changed from then till now is just incredible. And I just really enjoy being part of it and have a little contribution.
It's a huge contribution, Serena, and it is the reason why you're here. You're the UEFA Women's Coach of the Year. Massive congratulations to you. Thank you for joining us here in Monaco this evening.
Can I have a message, please?
Of course you can.
Thank you. Well, first of all, thanks everyone for voting, especially, of course, colleagues. It's really special, and I'm very honored. Also, thanks to everyone who's involved with the Lionesses. Of course, the team, the incredible team, players and staff, and the support from the FA. But it also feels a little different. We all know the issues around the Spanish team, and it really hurts me as a coach, as a mother of 2 daughters, as a wife, and as a human being. And it shows, we just talked about 88, the game has grown so much, but there's also still a long way to go in women's football and in society. And I would like to dedicate this award to the Spanish team, the team that played on the World Cup such great football that everyone enjoyed. I was going to ask you to give this applause afterwards, but this team deserves to be celebrated and deserves to be listened to. And I'm going to give them again a big applause, and I hope you will join me.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, wonderful message. Thank you very much, Serena. Important message as well. Thank you for joining us.
Congratulations.
You are allowed to take
Thank you
your
so
seat
much.
again. Thank you.
Well-deserved award. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are on to our last 2 awards. First up, it's the UEFA Women's Player of the Year. Here are the top 3 nominees.
Three incredible world-class talents with the sort of footballing ability us mere mortals, like myself and Pedro, can only dream of. This is a pretty big trophy. It's pretty heavy as well. So, President, if you could reveal the winner of the UEFA Women's Player of the Year.
As fast as possible. The Women's Player of the Year is Aitana Bonmati. Now we change, huh? I think we change.
Give it to Pedro.
I think I give it there.
Thank you.
Congratulations again.
Congratulations to Aitana. And we'll... Yeah, it's fine here. It's fine here. Please, Aitana. There we go.
Join us here. Okay, we will be talking to you in just a moment. But before we do, it's time to reveal 3 more sublime footballers with quite literally the world at their feet. Let's take a look at the nominees for the Men's Player of the Year award.
Those are the top 3 nominees. President, if you could please reveal the name of the winner of the UEFA Men's Player of the Year award.
Men's Player of the Year is Erling Haaland.
Hello, congratulations.
Congratulations, Aitana and Erling. Thank you, President. Amazing accomplishments by both of you. I wanted to start with a question to Aitana, and I'll do it in Spanish. Enhorabuena, primero.
Gracias, thank you.
Una temporada increíble para ti, personalmente, pero como equipo también, tanto club como país. ¿Cómo te sientes ahora con este trofeo?
Buenas tardes a todos. Nada, en primer lugar me gustaría felicitar a todas las nominadas y decir que para mí es un orgullo, un privilegio estar aquí en el día de hoy, después de los éxitos que venimos celebrando esta última temporada. Es una temporada que nunca olvidaré y me gustaría compartir este premio con todas mis compañeras, porque sin ellas no estaría aquí a día de hoy. Tengo la suerte de jugar con gente maravillosa, con gente espectacular que me hace mejor cada día, así como también el club y todo el staff con el que juego, ¿no? Soy una privilegiada. Muchas gracias.
Y como dijiste, en los últimos como 12 meses eran increíbles para ti. El Mundial es historia por el equipo nacional de España. Ganaste, no sé cómo se dice en español, Golden Ball.
Sí.
También.
Sí, de pelota.
Balón de oro.
Sí,
también. El Champions también. Y jugador de la temporada en la Champions y la Liga también en España. Y tú tienes esos trofeos como con tu equipo y individual también. ¿Cómo lo haces? ¿Cómo tú mantienes tu nivel en dos maneras?
Bien, siempre me gusta decir que soy una persona y jugadora a la vez muy ambiciosa, muy inconformista, siempre quiero más y creo que esto es algo que me define muy bien y que me ha hecho llegar hasta aquí, ¿no? También tengo la suerte, como he dicho antes, de jugar en un club espectacular que me da oportunidades, que me da también la oportunidad de jugar con las mejores jugadoras del mundo y que me hace ser cada día mejor. Por lo tanto, soy una privilegiada. Por último, también agradecer mucho las palabras de Sarina. Creo que es un gran detalle por su parte, porque no están siendo unos momentos muy buenos ahora en el fútbol español. Venimos de ganar el Mundial, pero no se está hablando mucho de ello porque han pasado cosas que no me gustaría dejar pasar. Y me gustaría recordar un poco lo que ha pasado. Creo que como sociedad no debemos permitir que se haga abuso de poder en una relación laboral, así como también faltas de respeto. Así que me gustaría que desde mi compañera Jenny, a todas las mujeres que sufren lo mismo, estamos con vosotras y nada, espero que sigamos trabajando para que esta sociedad mejore. Thank you.
Erling, we're coming over to you. Congratulations, first of all. Second individual award in a week. And your first season at Manchester City, I mean, it's difficult to have wanted more, right? 4 trophies. You're so young and you've won so much already. How are you feeling right now? How is it all seeming to you?
Yeah, of course, I feel good. What more can I say? I won the treble as 22 years old, and yeah, I'm kind of living the dream. This was my dream when I was young, so to be able to do this together with my teammates is something special, of course. So I'm really happy, and it also gives me so much motivation to keep on working to achieve more of the trophy that just stood there, and of course these are also really nice. So yeah, it's free motivation, and I'm so happy.
The fact that you're so motivated is quite scary for opposition defences. And all of last season, every single game we covered at Manchester City, the question was, how do you stop Erling Haaland. I mean, 52 goals is incredible. How do you stop Erling Haaland? You're going to tell us that? No, of course you're not.
You shouldn't ask me this. You should
I
ask
don't
someone
ask you
else.
that. Okay, so I'm not going to ask you that. I knew you weren't going to tell me anyway. So the question is, how do you keep that level up next season? Because you're going to want the same. You're going to want more. Can you do it?
I'll do my best, of course. But, I mean, as I said, it's motivation. It's about keeping the head clear, and I think even more eyes will be on me and the team now after winning the Champions League and everything. So we have to be more prepared. We have to be more sharper and everything. So for me, it's motivation, and I'm ready to try. I'm ready to do my best to have a new great season.
You know, you're surrounded by strong footballing figures, strong influences in the dressing room as well. I mean, we saw after, I think, the first game of the season, Pep, I mean, he's not here today to defend himself, but he was, going on at you. Why did you do that? Why did you do that? Your dad's here as well. We see him all, everywhere. Who are you more scared of, your dad or Pep?
Good question. Sometimes Pep is a bit scary, I have to say. But again, my father also can be a bit scary. But anyways, this is something I like. I like when Pep shouts at me. Because he tries to get something in my brain that he don't think I have. So I like it. So I'm not complaining at all. He just wants to make me a better footballer. So I'm not complaining at all. And my father and me, we argue a lot. We have a lot of good moments together. So I'm not complaining there either.
It's all in the right direction, isn't it?
Very honest answer as well. Love that. Aitana, una rápida finalmente para ti. ¿Es posible ganar la Champions otra vez?
Hombre, claro. Y lucharemos para ello.
Muy bien. Congratulations. Fantastic to have so much talent here on stage with us.
Absolutely.
Tonight.
Thank you so much. Huge congratulations to you both. You've had so much success last season. I wish you all the best in the campaign going forward. Ladies and gentlemen, the UEFA Women's and Men's Players of the Year, Aitana Bonmati and Erling Haaland. You're not a winner.
Well deserved.
Yeah, don't move just yet, guys, because we are at the end of tonight's show. We want to keep you here because everyone wants to see you up here with your wonderful trophies. It's been such a lovely night. A big thank you goes to the UEFA President, Alexander Ceferin, and to everyone's here, all our special guests this evening.
Definitely. The UEFA Champions League group stage kicks off on the 19th of September already, so not long to wait now. And of course, we wish all of the clubs participating in this season's competition the very best of luck.
Yeah, absolutely. From Pedro and myself and everyone on stage to everyone here in Monaco and everyone watching all over the world as well. Thank you so much for joining us and good night.
Good night. Thank you.
Yeah, but if you're watching it on TNT, of course, don't go anywhere because we've got Jolien, Owen and Julien standing by to bring loads more analysis on the 8 groups that have been drawn today for the last Champions League group format in this manner. There's Joe Cole putting together a group of F, a group of death that featured Cole Newcastle. Welcome back. We've got loads of great football coming up for you over the next few days on TNT Sports. Roma taking on Milan from Serie A Friday night. Could well see the debut of Romelu Lukaku, who's freshly arrived in the Italian capital. Meanwhile, from the Premier League, two teams in search of their first points of the season face each other in the Saturday lunchtime kick-off. That's from 11 o'clock on TNT Sports 1 as Sheffield United welcome Everton to Bramall Lane. Napoli, the Italian champions, take on the side who finished second last time around, Lazio in Serie A, who are currently down in the bottom three, though. And then from Ligue 1 Sunday night, Lyon take on PSG, a PSG team on the comeback trail after their dismal start to the season. PSG will be talking about very shortly in a Champions League context, because they were one of the 32 teams drawn for this year's group stage this afternoon in Monaco. The four groups. Group A looks fascinating. Bayern Munich up against Manchester United again. Copenhagen and Galatasaray in there as well. Arsenal have drawn Sevilla, PSV and Lens. Napoli, the Italian champions, of course, taking on the 14-time Champions League winners Real Madrid, with Braga and Union Berlin, Champions League new boys, in that group. And in Group D, it's last year's runner-up, Inter against Benfica, Salzburg and Real Sociedad. Group E has Feyenoord against Atletico Madrid, Lazio and Celtic. In Group F, PSG, Dortmund, Milan, and what a welcome back to the competition for Newcastle United. Group G has Manchester City, the holders, against Leipzig again, and Red Star Belgrade, Young Boys. And Group H, Barcelona, Porto, Shakhtar and Royal Antwerp. Well, loads to talk about there. We haven't as yet looked at Man City's group. How tough do you think that's going to be, Julian Lescott?
I don't think that's going to be tough at all, to be honest. I think they would have been favourites, obviously, for obvious reasons in any group. But the teams there, especially, I think they'll be confident. I think the biggest factor is young boys, the way, artificial pitch. But other than that, I don't think there'll be any issues them going through and top in the group.
Leipzig, you'd think, would be the bigger adversary, although every time Man City face them, they seem to dispatch them with some ease. 6-3 a couple of years ago when they were in the group stage together. And then last season, in the last 16, they put them out as well, Jules.
Yeah, in the second leg especially, they drew 1-1. Remember, very weird performance from City in Germany, and then they destroyed them at home for the second leg. A Leipzig team that lost Nkunku and Gvardiol, the two best players in the summer, and even if they replace them, even if the start of the season has been decent, Dani Olmo is in great form, for example, they're still not good enough to compete with City, so City would win that group easily.
How do you think Guardiola's doing at keeping the hunger going, keeping the fire burning in his City players?
You spoke about it then, Erling Haaland, just about motivation for different reasons, wanting to do it again, stay motivated, being the first team to potentially win 4 titles in a row. There's so many different and new factors to being iconic in a City shirt, so it's kind of easy regards to staying motivated.
OK. Quick look at Pep's record for so long. This was the competition that he couldn't win if he didn't have Leo Messi in his side, but he put that to bed last season. Of course, now he's got Erling Haaland in his side, which, when you look at his numbers in the Champions League, frankly ridiculous. 35 goals in 35 Champions League appearances, and 5 of those came in one game against RB Leipzig, who they've drawn again. I mean, that's scary, Owen.
Well, I think the combination is scary. Pep with Haaland and all those beautiful football players in behind. You know, people said Pep didn't do great with centre forwards, which wasn't true, and obviously Erling Haaland going in there winning the treble. It's just a match made in heaven. I love the fact that Pep is always evolving. You know, that's the one constant with him. He's always evolving, always trying to improve, tweaking the teams, going from the full-backs all of a sudden now to 4 centre-backs. Just amazing, and that partnership is just as good as it gets.
OK. Jolien said he was quite confident about City's chances because Mbappe didn't go to Real Madrid. Kylian Mbappe has stayed in Paris, and he'll be featuring, you imagine, in Group F, which looks an absolute sizzler. Newcastle are in there. We'll hear very shortly from the chief executive of Newcastle. But from a Paris Saint-Germain perspective, Jules, this summer you lost Messi and you lost Neymar. Are you a better side for all that?
I think they are a better side collectively, and that's what Luis Enrique is trying to do, to make players more as a team instead of being just 11 individuals trying to play together. And I think they start to do that. They went and signed Ugarte, for example, a quite obscure defensive midfielder who does a lot of hard work for the team, but I think they needed someone like that. And then there might be less talent, although Dembele and Kylian Mbappe are there, and it's pretty good to have one on each wing. But I think they will play certainly more as a team. I think they will have that in them more than when we had a front three of Messi, Neymar and Mbappe, where neither of them really defended. They could not really care. And the team was cut in two. 7 players defending and not doing what to do, and then 3 attacking on their own.
Basically. Literally, I mean, it was amazing to watch, actually, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. And a lot of us thought, okay, this is an incredible front line, Messi, Neymar and Mbappe together, but also a lot of us thought the team is too unbalanced for them to go far, and Bayern destroy them. So.
A lot of gasps from Newcastle fans when they drew into that group, but I'm guessing that the other teams in that group won't want to be facing Eddie Howe's side either, right?
No, I mean, they're such a brilliant side. You know, the way that they kind of work on and off the ball. Eddie Howe's done an amazing job to get this group of players into the Champions League. And I like the squad depth. I think that's improved. Tonali's a good addition, another ball player in there to go with Guimaraes and Joelinton in that midfield. So I'm looking forward to watching Newcastle in the Champions League. I think Eddie Howe's got a great group of players to go and compete in. I wouldn't be surprised if they get it right, they even top that group.
Good Lord. All right. Well, first time back in the Champions League in 11 years. Darren Eales, Chief Executive of Newcastle United, is with Emma Dodds.
Well, Darren, it was the loudest noise around the auditorium when Newcastle came out of the pot. Give us your reaction to that draw.
Wow, I mean, what a group. I mean, it's a super group of death, isn't it? I mean, it's 3 great teams, as long with, Newcastle United. We're excited to be playing them, but Paris Saint-Germain, Borussia Dortmund, the Yellow Wall, and then obviously AC Milan and Sandro Tonali's whole team.
It'll be difficult games, but I'm sure the Newcastle United fans were absolutely rejoicing. 4 iconic clubs and ones that the fans will certainly enjoy.
Yeah, I mean, I think of, you think of AC Milan. I know in 2003 we had almost 10,000 Geordies over there in the wonderful city of Milan, and I don't think I've ever seen a Macam in Milan either. So it's going to be exciting for the Geordies. Paris Saint-Germain, one of the sort of footballing royalty. And I think, Dortmund as well. I think it's a great football club. The Yellow Wall's amazing. I think, both fan bases are going to appreciate each other, because the noise at St James's Park that first night when the Champions League music is going to be playing, I think it's going to be something really special.
How does it feel just being back here, having the club back part of this competition?
Oh, we're really excited. I mean, 20 years is a long time not being in the Champions League, and this is something that we had a great season last season, and we're not here just to make up the numbers. We want to be competing on all fronts, and I think we've got 6 big games ahead of us now in the group stages, but we've got a great coach, obviously, in Eddie Howe, great players, and we're really going to give it our all.
I was going to say that. What about your aspirations? What do you hope to achieve in this competition?
Well, look, I think we're in it, which is the first thing. I think we want our fans to dream, and we've got a draw now and a group that they can sort of get excited about. And like I said, we feel like we've got the players and the coaching staff and the setup to compete with all of those teams. It's going to be tough. We understand that, but we're going to give it our best.
And what about the fans? Can they expect any more new faces before the end of the deadline?
I think we're pretty much set with what we've done. I mean, we're excited with the additions that we've got in this transfer window. And like I said, we feel we've got a great squad that can really compete in this competition.
Well, we look forward to watching you in it. Thanks for talking to us.
Thanks, Emma.
Cheers. All the best.
Darren Eales there with Emma. It's going to be fascinating seeing how they get on. Loads more to talk about, including Arsenal's group, Barcelona, Real Madrid, also what Celtic have drawn for their return to the Champions League. We'll be talking about all of those things and more with Jolien, Owen and Julien in the last part after this. Welcome back, everyone, to our group stage draw reaction. Jolien Lescott, Owen Hargreaves and Julian Laurens here with us. Now, Arsenal, their quest for their first ever Champions League trophy begins with them in Group B. You see they've drawn there Sevilla, the Europa League winners last year, PSV, who Arsenal faced in the Europa League, and Lens, runners-up in Ligue 1. Before our reactions to that, let's hear from the sporting director of Arsenal, Edu, who's with Emma Dodds.
Well, Edu, what's your reaction to that? You're in Group B in this Champions League group stage, along with Sevilla, PSV and Lens.
Well, very traditional teams, stronger ones. To be in that competition, you cannot choose the team you're going to play against. So all of them is very, very hard to play against. So we are here, happy to be in the competition again, which is the most important for the club. It's most important for the player, for the staff, for everyone. So now let's enjoy the competition and let's see how can we behave in that competition as well.
Where does this competition lie within the priorities of Arsenal, given obviously the Premier League is a huge focus as well?
Well, when we're talking about Arsenal Football Club, we cannot prioritize anything, isn't it? We have to go there and try our best to play well competition. Of course, to be in the Premier League, Champions League, the Cups, what we are participating as well, will be important to do our best and to perform in the best way possible as well, and do our best to finish in the best position as possible as well.
After 7 years away, it's great to have Champions League football back at the Emirates, though, isn't it?
Oh yes. I think the fans, the club really deserve that, because we are working so hard to come back for that situation. I think it's a big bonus for the last season. The way we behave as a club, the way the players, the staff, everyone work is to be back in the Champions League. So it's a big bonus now. So I'm pretty sure the fans really enjoy the competition. As I said, I think everyone deserved it. And let's enjoy the competition again.
And how satisfied are you with the shape of the squad? We're almost at the end of the transfer window. What are your views on any activity that could take place?
Well, we are, so as everybody see, we make one very strong strategy to be very proactive in the beginning of the transfer window. And I think we did it. And now we are talking about trying to balance the squad a little bit better. We keep talking to a few clubs, but so far we are really happy with the transfer window. And we have to say, of course, thank you very much for all the people which work is in the club to make that happen. So good, exciting season ahead of us.
Thank you for talking to us. Good luck.
No, pleasure.
Thank you. Great to see you.
Thank you.
Well, it's been a busy summer for Edu and Arsenal after that near miss in the title run last season. So far, one or two teething problems for the Gunners, fitting the new players in. Kai Havertz, question marks over that. The group, at least, the draw has been kind to them, Jolien.
Yeah, definitely. But going back to referencing the signings, I think they've been very good in terms of their recruitment. It's going to take a little bit of time for them to get settled, but I think for what they've signed and the need for specific positions, I think it's been a very positive window for us, and they should be confident they go through.
OK. Sevilla, of course, all sorts of problems for English sides in the past. Right now, though, they look in some difficulty.
Terrible start of the season for them. 3 games in La Liga, 3 defeats. They lost big players like Bruno in goal, for example. Ocampos might be on his way. They might lose Acuna as well. It's not the team that we saw last year, not even the team that we saw playing well against City in the Super Cup, to be fair, and only losing on pen. So different. I think this is really a good draw for Arsenal. They should enjoy that.
All right, Lens are in there as well. PSV might be the dark horse of that group after the way they performed against Rangers this midweek.
Yeah, I thought they played brilliant, to be fair. Peter Bosz, we know he plays quite an aggressive style of football, high press, high possession. I thought they obviously dominated that would be a tricky game, obviously, away, but Arsenal, they'll have to be delighted with that group. I mean, Sevilla struggling, and PSV and Lens are definite underdogs in there.
OK. They met in the group stage last year. They did indeed lose away in Eindhoven, but then beat them at the Emirates. Let's talk a little bit about Celtic's group, Group F, which features Feyenoord, who they last faced in the European Cup in 1970 when Feyenoord went on to win the title. Also in there, Atletico Madrid and Lazio. Atletico Madrid were terrible last year in their group stage. This season, they look like a completely different beast.
They started well. It's true, they scored 7 goals at the weekend against Rayo Vallecano, who had won their first 2 games. So it looks certainly right now that Diego Simeone is making this team evolve a little bit, playing more attacking football. Memphis Depay, Alvaro Morata, Antoine Griezmann, all of that up front. So it looks good. In the Champions League, somehow, they seem to always go back to what they know best, which is defending and be hard to play against, which sometimes is not enough, as we saw last season. But you would think that they must be the favourite in that group. Right. And then for the rest, it's very open. Feyenoord, Lazio, who haven't started well, and Celtic, I think, and all claim that second place.
Celtic have a chance, you think?
Definitely.
OK, excellent. Very good. Now, the other big names in the draw, which we haven't really touched on yet, Barcelona and Real Madrid. Owen, do you think they'll be relatively happy as well with the teams they're going to be up against?
Yeah, I think obviously Barca, with the draw they're there with Porto and Shakhtar Donetsk and Royal Antwerp, I think they're big heavy favourites in that group. I think Xavi got Barca back to their best. Obviously, I think he still anticipates a few players coming in before the end of the window. And Real Madrid, I mean, that group of players that they have assembled there with Ancelotti. Bellingham's been absolutely on fire.
Right.
With Vinicius Junior and Valverde, Modric and Kroos. So, I mean, looking forward to watch Real Madrid in the Champions League this season.
Real Madrid in that Group C with Napoli and Braga and Union Berlin, who are one of the, I think, the teams that a lot of people are going to be fascinated to see how they can convert their Bundesliga form into European competition. Barcelona's group, though, just to check on that again, and with Porto, Shakhtar and Antwerp, this Barcelona team, their transfer activities in the last few days have been subject to a lot of news, and just on a transfer front, Jules. What do you make of the news that Ansu Fati is leaving Barcelona and heading to Brighton?
It's quite a surprising one. We were discussing with the boys, to be fair. It shows the attractivity of the Premier League and of Brighton, De Zerbi, what they're doing at the club, and it's great. If I told you 2 years ago that Brighton would sign a talent like Ansu Fati from Barcelona, we would not have believed it. So, well done to them. He lost his place in the team of Barcelona, and I don't think Xavi really believed in him anymore.
Right. Is he still that talent?
The talent is always there. I think you don't lose it. He was a prodigy kid at 16 to make his debut for that team. He had a lot of injuries. I'm not really sure where he's at in terms of, is it 50% of what he can do, 70, 80? He's certainly not 100%. So let's see what De Zerbi can do with him. But if you get him back to his best, I think he will be added value to any team in the Premier League or anywhere in Europe.
And what do you make of Barcelona's chances this year?
This is a great group for them. Last season they suffered. We said it. Bayern and Inter were too good for them.
Right.
Then they crashed out against United, who were too good for them. That was very disappointed. At least now, even if they're heavily favoured and the pressure comes with that, they should go through. And after that, the knockout stage is a different story. But it would be good for them to have an easy draw, I guess, because they would be busy in the league as well to compete with Atletico and Real Madrid.
OK. Inter, who qualified ahead of Barcelona in the Champions League group stages last season, drawn in Group D with Benfica, who they actually beat in, what was that, the quarterfinals last year. Right. Benfica, who were one of the runaway successes of the group stage. Red Bull Salzburg in there and Real Sociedad as well. What are you most looking forward to? Of all the matchups we've talked about, Julian, which one are you most looking forward to?
Probably Newcastle versus PSG.
Yeah.
At St James's. The atmosphere, the players on show, the way that Newcastle play, I think that'll be one of the biggest games of the group stages. Obviously Bayern, Man United as well, but for me the Newcastle games will look super exciting.
Bayern and Man United home.
Yeah. I mean, the history between the two teams is remarkable, obviously, so that's going to be a special game, Bayern, Man United. But I'm with Jolien. I'm looking forward to that Group F. That Group F is going to be... Anybody can get through in that, and obviously Newcastle back in the Champions League is something really special.
Right. Is that the game PSG fans will be most looking forward to, the trip to St James's?
I think that would be pretty special, but all atmosphere, really, San Siro with Milan, to go to Dortmund as well, and the Yellow Wall would be pretty special. The Parc des Princes, I think, would be on fire, and the fixtures in that group could be keen as well.
OK. We've got loads more coming up this week on TNT Sports. We've got the group stage draw for the Europa League and Europa Conference League tomorrow. That's followed by a big clash in City. Roma against Milan Friday night. Saturday, old cricketing rivals Pakistan and India clash in the Asia Cup. And our Premier League showdown comes from Bramall Lane this weekend as Sheffield United and Everton look to end their pointless starts to the season. Loads, as I say, to look forward to. Hope you've enjoyed our Champions League